Hey y'all, how y'all doing today? I'm Dara, also known as Dara Madris, and this is another episode on the podcast Self Love and Rediscovery, where we talk about all things self love and self discovery. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about life changes and how to deal with life changes. I have hit a milestone in my life where I've made a lot of major changes. You could kind of say I went through, what's that called? When people turn 40, y'all, my brain fart. The caffeine ain't kicked in yet. Midlife crisis. I have came upon my own midlife crisis. I call it an awakening because I've been asleep. I've been asleep. And I realized that a lot of things in my life needed to change. I used to be so resistant to change. I got so comfortable in where I was at. Every little thing that changed, it really stems from my childhood. It's a lot to go down that road, but to sum it all up, I've always been scared of change. But once I started to see how positive things have become after I made a lot of major changes in my life recently, even though it's still a little scary, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Allowing change to come into my life has allowed me to grow in so many ways that I can't explain. So in today's podcast, I'm going to tell you guys my story most recently on the major changes that I made, the major life changes that I made, how scary it was to welcome in those changes, and also how much my life has changed from those changes. And hopefully you guys can take from my story. I'm going to have little tidbits and tips in between to help you if you're having problems, or just to give a little bit more insight into welcoming change, because life is always changing. It's ever changing. We constantly learn new things about life and about ourselves, and even the people around us change. But we're going to get more into that. Let's get into the major life changes that I've went through within the past, I would say, it's been less than a year. I started making these major life decisions around December of last year. So it all happened so fast. But we gonna get into it, y'all, because I will ramble and ramble and ramble, okay? So if you guys are new to my YouTube channel, or you're watching from Lit and you don't really know the background on your girl, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of a rundown, but y'all go check out my quit my job video on my YouTube, and also my trauma bond video. That will give a lot of insight into the major life changes that I've made, why I made them. But I'm just gonna give like a little rundown. So in December, I would say December, around November, December, I really started to get fed up. I have always been a people pleaser. I always put others before me, others' needs before me. I've really done that all my life. I've always put people before me all my life. And it took me to my nice old age. I know I ain't that old, y'all, but it took me to the age of 35 to really get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Tired of pleasing other people, tired of walking on eggshells around people, tired of just being always Miss Nice Girl. So in November, I started to see everything. I started to notice the things that weren't aligned with my soul anymore, like my job, just the way that I was behaving. I was always negative and nasty and mean and irritable. I just started to know that it was always something better for my life than the place that I was at. And so the first major change that I made in my life was my job. I quit my job, y'all. I up and quit my job of 7 years. I worked at and what do I want to say? Because I don't want to bust them out, because y'all, that place was crazy. I worked at a vehicle assembly plant, and being there was a different experience at first. It was one of those jobs where a lot of people wanted that job because it paid good, excellent benefits, and I got comfortable in that job. I got comfortable because I was making good money. The benefits were good. And to be honest with y'all, being there for 7 years was the longest job I ever stayed at. I never stayed in a job no longer than, I want to say, maybe 2 years. I was there for 7 years and I had just got comfortable. The kind of job that I had, it was very taxing on your body. It was just a lot going on at this place. Just overall with the people. Not everybody at this place was bad, but the area where I was at, it just seemed like it was a lot of tension. It was a lot of talking behind people's backs. It's easy to say, well, don't feed into that, don't feed into that. But when you're in an environment, because I worked 10-hour days, 4 days a week, sometimes even longer. And the way my shift worked was a split shift. So I worked mornings, then I worked nights. But most of my time was spent at my job. So when you're at a place for that amount of time, for 7 years, eventually things get to you. And on an assembly line, you are with people all the time. Y'all all together all the time. So it's very easy to pick up on other people's energies. And it's also very easy to adopt those feelings and those emotions, those energies. Is so easy to adopt those. When I got on at that job, I was still in my people pleasing tendencies and I was still walking on eggshells. I had just got out of a DV relationship and I was still trying to find myself, still trying to find my way. And so when I got there, I just kind of adapted to the environment that I was in. That place it wasn't for me. And because I wasn't getting sleep a lot of times because of the shift I was working, and I also have kids, because I was dealing with all of that, I just was so negative. I was irritable, negative. I didn't really get a lot of sleep. So over time, I just became a hateful person. I hate to say it like that because I've changed so much. But I really was starting to become very spiteful and hateful. And it's hard for me to wrap my head around that now, but I really was. And so it took for me to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of that job to be like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I had to really step back and look at the overall picture and see that this place, it's not for me. What helped me to see where I was at, I had to look from the outside. And I just thought, like, Dara, can you really see yourself on this line until you 60 years old? And I knew that in that moment, that place wasn't for me. After I had that realization going into that place every day after that, I just started even more to be like, I gotta get out of here. And I began to make a plan to get up out of there. And I started to plan, what can I do to get out of this situation? You could complain all day about, oh, I don't like my job. Oh, I don't want to be here no more. Oh, these people get on my nerves. All day long. You complaining does not help the situation. You got to take action. So what did I do? I took action. I began to make a plan. How can I get myself out of this situation and still be okay? Being at a job for 7 years, it makes you comfortable, especially with the pay that I was making. Okay, I was over $23 an hour. I was making about $26 an hour. I was making good money. Not having to pay for my benefits and having excellent benefits, that's hard to let go of. That's a very big change to do when you're used to that type of money. So I had to make a plan and I had to believe in myself. But I knew that place wasn't for me. And I knew the longer that I stayed, the longer that I was going to be unhappy. And I could see the person that I would have become if I had stayed at that place till I was 60 years old, 50 years old, even 40 years old. In 5 more years, I probably would have been a whole different person. Okay. So I made a plan, and the hardest thing for me to do was follow through on that plan. Y'all, I was scared. Your girl was scared. Oh, I'm not used to change. I don't like change. Growing up, things would change, but it seemed like everything that changed was for the bad. So as I got older, that created something in my mind where I was just like, no, we not doing no changing. So to come up with a big plan like that, to just up and leave this comfortable job, not to mention y'all gotta go see my trauma bond video and my quit my job video, because I go way more into depth on the significance of this job and the milestone that it took for me to get that job. Y'all gotta go watch the video. But I had a lot at stake by quitting this job, but I knew that I wanted better for myself, and in order to have better for myself, I had to leave that job. When I worked at that job, I didn't have the time to do what I really wanted to do, and so I had to do it. I had to follow through. On that quit my job video, I show you guys in real time me getting out the car. Y'all don't see me walk into the building, but I get out the car, I walk in the building, and y'all, I followed through. And that is one of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life, because it was so big and I'm so used to being codependent on others. For me to do that, oh my gosh, it just felt so good to be able to say, I'm out, throw up the deuces. It felt so good. I was scared even after the fact, but now, today, oh, we on a whole nother playing field, okay? So another thing was, y'all, I had to stop smoking. I had to stop smoking. I was smoking weed, y'all, ain't gonna lie. It was a really big change. And I also used to vape. And I know a lot of people still vape. A lot of people smoke. But in order for me to be the best me that I can be, the healthiest me that I could be, I had to put the vape down. I'm gonna start with the vape first. I had to put the vape down because I used to hear so many bad stories about people's heart going out and stuff like that. And not saying that's going to happen to everybody, but come on now. Any form of a substance that you put into your lungs are supposed to breathe air. They're not supposed to inhale things like that, especially vapes, which is made out of chemicals and all of that. Like, no, we're not supposed to do that. And I just knew down in my soul that if I wanted to live long and healthy, I'm also very athletic. I like to run. So that vape wasn't helping me. It wasn't helping my lungs. So I had to let that go. That was a big change for me. My health comes first. It's no way that I can achieve my dreams if I'm tearing my body down. If I'm tearing down my avatar, how I'm gonna do what I need to do if I only got one lung? Can you live with one lung? For real though. Like, how I'm gonna do what I need to do if I can't breathe air? And I depended on that to help me to feel better, to calm my nerves. I really smoked the vape a lot when I was at work, okay? Because it just helped me. But it helped me, but it hurt me. And I'd rather be strong in the fact that I don't need substances to make me feel better. I can do that all on my own. Self-love, okay? That's what we teaching here, okay? Now, as far as the drugs is concerned, y'all, I don't even want to sound like that's a negative thing. Now, some things, no. But I feel like, I'm going to say the plants. I feel like the plants they definitely have medical properties. They help me to calm my mind. But y'all, I used to be knocked out. After I smoked, I was knocked. I will eat and then your girl was knocked out, okay? So I knew that in order for me to be able to focus on the go, I had to stop. Even if it's just for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I had to stop because I can't function. The things that I want to do, the dreams I want to accomplish, if I'm tired and sleepy all the time, how I'm going to do what I need to do? If I'm drowsy all the time, how I'm going to do what I need to do? If you feel like those things kind of hinder you, I know it's hard. If it's hindering you, you got to do it, or at least carve out different times to do it. You know, maybe before bed, something like that. But all day throughout the day, because I was doing it all day, mainly when I was at work. But all day, no, it just wasn't working for me. So I had to make there was a major change in order to be the best me that I could be. Another major change that I had to let go of was shows that I used to watch. Your girl used to watch all the reality shows. I used to be on Netflix binging. I used to be on Paramount, Disney Plus. I still got almost all of my subscriptions, y'all. But I was always watching something into somebody else's drama. So much so that I didn't have time to work on everything that I needed to work on. Not only was it taking up my time, but it was also the shows that I was watching that kind of messed with my energy. You know, reality TV is entertaining depending on what shows you watch. But I was watching Love and Hip Hop, Bad Girls. I don't know if that still come on, but I was watching the ones that were violent and people turn each other down. I feel like it's very easy to even absorb those energies when you're watching things like that on a constant basis. It's easy to adapt those energies and be that. I was also watching a lot of murder shows, murder mysteries. You know, when Snap used to come on. What's all the other ones? It's so many now. But I had to stop watching those. I don't even watch them no more. Like, I may watch a quick short or a TikTok. I don't even watch murder shows no more because it does something to my energy. It's sad that someone had to lose their life over usually petty things and just other people that's just evil. But when I constantly watch stuff like that, it really brought my energy down. Either I was mad because somebody took advantage of somebody else, or I was sad just because of the fact of everything that just happened in those situations on the show. It just really brought my vibrations down. And when my vibrations are low, I can't function at my fullest potential. I had to really stop watching all of that. So not only did watching those shows make me neglectful of what I needed to do in my life to be the best me I could be, but they also contributed to me not having enough energy to do what I needed to do. So I had to cut the ties with the shows. I still watch shows from time to time, but y'all, I be so busy trying to work on my dream that I don't have time to watch shows and lay around and do all that. You know, maybe once I get finished, I can have time for that type of entertainment. But right now, I'm on the road to the come up, so I can't watch and sit, and I just can't do it no more. Another major change that I had to do, I had to change the foods that I used to eat. It is still a struggle for me. I ain't gonna lie. But I do read labels now, and I have cut a lot. When I say a lot, I had to cut out my tea. I love me some sweet tea, y'all, but the sugar content in sweet tea is outrageous. It's outrageous. I had to cut out my tea. I had to cut out my chocolates. Oh my gosh, y'all, I really love those sweet tart ropes. The added sugars in those is crazy. And just looking at my family history, we got diabetes that runs in our family, heart disease, you know, diabetes really runs rampant in my family. I don't want that. I need my avatar to be healthy. So I really took the time to read labels. Now, sometimes I be having them urges, y'all. I'm like an addict for real. I be having them urges and I give in sometimes, but I've substituted a lot of things and I'm still working on that. I'm becoming more of a flexitarian. I wanted to be vegan, but it's hard because I love crab legs, y'all. I love crab legs, so I don't think I'm quite ready to be a vegan just yet. But I'm on the way, you know, not necessarily a vegan, but I just want to eat healthier. I have been doing good with cutting red meat, but that's a major change for me because I've been eating whatever I wanted to eat all my life. And for me to have to stop, that's definitely a hard habit to break, but we getting it done and I'm working on it. I really need to give myself a timeline and be more strict on myself with that. But that's a major change I had to do because your avatar is all you got. If it breaks down, you can't do everything that you want to do in your life. You can't be you can be what you want to be, but at the same time, why not be that at your healthiest self? Okay, so this one, I don't want to bring this down. The major change that I had to do, I had to slow down on interacting with family and friends. I had to come to the realization that not everybody is ready to change. And nothing's wrong with that because some people, I ain't gonna say don't need to change. Have y'all ever heard of that saying, you are the company that you keep? It's kind of one of them situations. And I noticed that with the friends and family that I used to be around all the time, they kind of have that old me mindset. There's going to be people in your life that you're close to, friends, family, even relationships, that you're going to notice that you're changing for the better. And when you start changing for the better, you start to notice other people, what they need to change. You can't tell people what they need to change, but let me just say, you're going to notice what no longer resonated with you. So before the change, y'all had a lot in common. Y'all resonated with each other well, but after the change, you start to see like, I don't think that same way. Or, I don't really need to be in this energy. That's basically what happened with me. And that was a very, very big change for me because I'm very codependent. And it's something that stems from my childhood shadow. I don't like losing the people that I'm close to. Not even necessarily losing, but I'm so used to being around certain people. And so realizing that we were no longer resonating on a lot of things, it was very scary because you get so used to a person, just like in relationships. I was in denial about it. Like, oh, we can still hang. We can still be around each other, gossip and stuff like that. I was no longer in that space anymore. And being around it just made me feel some type of way. I didn't necessarily cut out family and friends, but I limit the time. And depending on your situation and your relationship with the person that you may feel like you don't resonate with anymore, you may have to completely cut those people out of your life. And it's very, very hard to do, especially if it's someone that you grew up with or someone that you created a bond with. A lot of times that could be a trauma bond. If you're changing for the better, it's going to be hard for you to change to your fullest potential if you're still stuck in the mud with the pigs. You know what I'm saying? It's hard not to get dirty if you stuck in the mud still with the pigs. I'm still making changes in my life, y'all. I'm still making changes, and I may make a continuance of this video when the next major changes come. I'm also struggling with this one too, y'all, and that's sticking to a schedule. It's so hard for me to stay on a schedule, stay organized, but I know that that's a major change that I really need to do. Because in order to be successful, you gotta be organized. You gotta know what you're doing, when you're doing it. You gotta have a plan. Sticking to a schedule is something that I'm still currently working on. But it's a major change for me because all my life, I never had structure and I never had organization in my life. None of my life growing up. I'm 35 years old and I'm just now learning how to be organized and keep a schedule, stay on schedule. It's a process, but I know that I can do it. I've done all of these things. Why can't I stick to a schedule? So I've been working with myself and not being so hard on myself and beating myself up when I don't stick to the schedule. One more thing that I want to touch on that I didn't get to touch on about the family and friends part, and that is realizing that when you decide that you want to change and be a better person, and you want the people around you to feel that positivity, and you want the people around you to be in that same positive space as you, and they're still kind of stuck in the negativity or stuck in the old you energy. It's hard to leave them behind, and you may feel like you're being petty or you being rude or nasty. You have to know that nobody's going to change unless they want to change. No matter how hard you want them to, you can talk to them until you blue in the face. They're not going to want to change until they're ready. Just like you. If you watching this video because you are trying to change, you've decided to change, or you've made major changes, you came upon your changes on your own. No matter at what stage in your life, you had to come to that. It may have been people that told you, like, you need to change your life. You need to change your situation, and you didn't listen, because that was me. I didn't listen. I was very hard-headed. Just know that not everybody's going to go with you to the top, and it's going to hurt, especially when it's somebody that's really, really close to you. But you got to move forward. You got to do it for you, because when you leave this world, when you ascend, ain't nobody going with you. You came to this world by yourself. You're going to leave this world by yourself. So you have to take care of you first, okay? Remember that. I would like to thank all of y'all for watching, tuning in to the show, the channel. I really, 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 really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure y'all subscribe to my YouTube. Go follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Also, TikTok, that's at Dara Madrice. That's DOLLIRAMADRICE. And if y'all not doing anything else, make sure that you are continuously achieving greatness. And with that being said, y'all, your girl is out. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, y'all.